Ready.
Hello, this is Lindsay Literal with Brianito, the 33-year-old Leo. So this is our first podcast with Little Bits. I'll tell you a little background about that. I'm going to be interviewing a bunch of people, and we're going to learn about them, their beliefs on life. And my first person is my fiancé, Brian
Oh,
Garcia.
fancy.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. And he's going to tell his views on life and a little background about himself.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right, background, go.
What are you asking me?
Just tell a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am indeed Brian, and we are indeed engaged, making me your fiance.
Insightful.
Right. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I am excited to do this. I'm not exactly sure what you have in store for me and what kind of questions you're going to be asking me. But I'm here to answer some things and avoid other questions, I suppose, like now.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, for starters, what is your favorite color?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I think if I had to choose, it'd probably be either red or blue. Although I've been more keen on that purplish color that we use. What would you say that color is? Like not fuchsia.
Oh, I think it is the fuchsia, the pinkish purple one.
Kind of. I am starting to like that one.
Okay. Yeah, it might be a fuchsia, possibly.
Something.
So, where were you born? Tell us a little background. No background?
I have no background. I just became and appeared.
He's like Alexa, originated in 2014.
You never get a good answer from her about anything.
A couple of things were good answers, I thought.
Alexa, what is the winning lotto number? I cannot give you that information. She has it. I know she has it.
Yeah, and she told us she didn't even have eyes.
Like, how are you buying lotto tickets, Alexa? Come on.
Yeah. She can be a talker. She says a lot, but without telling you anything.
Right. All right. So I am from Michigan. I am from probably about 2 hours from Detroit, small town. I moved here probably 12 years ago now, here, Texas. And I've been here since.
Okay, very cool. Do you think it was quite an adjustment coming from Michigan to Texas?
Yes.
In what way?
Well, for one, I originally came out here on a vacation, and it was very all of a sudden almost. So I came out here, and the first day I was here, that night, I had called my parents and told them, I was like, I'm not coming back. I think I was 20 at the time, so I don't think they were expecting that phone call, but at the same time, they were very supportive financially and emotionally. But yeah, you kind of pick up and leave all of your friends, acquaintances, habits, all sorts of things. You kind of just pick up and leave that behind, or it can be that way at least. Sometimes I'm sure that doesn't happen for everybody. But yeah.
Okay. And then also, you were telling me that you spent some time, like you took a whole year off from work to learn about religion and law. What made you take that decision?
Wasn't quite a year. It was about 6 months. I don't know what started that. It was a very fulfilling time. It wasn't easy. And I wouldn't suggest doing that unless you had the means to do that. I happened to have some money saved up, and the job at the time I was working at was doing some layoffs, so I figured I'm just going to take some time, and instead of going to college and pretty much going in debt or spending all of my money I had, I thought I would take some time off from work and just kind of get my own education going. I kind of did it my own way. I read a lot of books, like you said, religion, some law, and a lot of psychology is kind of what I focused on. Go.
Yes. So after learning about different religions, how do you think that changed your worldview?
I don't know if it did, or at least I can't really point to anything tangible to say like it did or didn't. I definitely became a bit more informed. Um, so learning about different religions and psychology has been very interesting for me. You kind of see the similarities in those. When I say religion, it was mostly like Christianity. So I still got quite a bit to learn on the 1,432 other religions. I think that's about right. But it's I don't know. Somebody was telling me, or there was a headline recently showing how this current administration, the president, uh, commented that the Bible should be taught in schools, and I'm not necessarily against that. Like, I don't particularly consider myself a religious person at the moment, but I do believe it's been a fairly influential book in our time, and knowing it, I think people should know it. As far as like forcing people to learn about it, I don't know that part. I do think it's a good idea to read it, though.
Okay, what do you think about introducing other religions into the school system?
Um, well, again, yeah, I think learning about these things can be beneficial. But then it gets to the point where it's like, well, okay, now are you going to allow all of them? Are you going to force people to do it? So I don't know what or how many people should have. I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay.
Some
Now,
schools mostly teach religion.
yes, especially ones designated for a specific religion.
We literally have like Catholic schools.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Well, those are for people who chose that particular path. Since studying all those things, what do you think about the meaning of life? What do you think is the meaning in it?
well, I don't know if there is a meaning of life, or like a one single meaning. From what I've gathered so far, it seems like you are to create your meaning. Um, I don't know really how to explain that at the moment, but I think you give yourself purpose. And I know that for a lot of people, that is probably pretty difficult, um, especially if you had a, let's say, interesting childhood, or maybe you were taken care of a bit too much. I think that could kind of get somebody reliant on being told what to do, following the rules, things like that. And if you don't have that in your life, if you don't have somebody telling you how to operate, you might get lost in this world. And so I think people have to kind of figure out their own path, observe others and their paths. Yeah, I haven't seen like a single answer on this. So obviously there are multiple directions you can take to find that meaning. I think whatever suits you and makes this world better, preferably, go with it.
Okay. And
I don't know if I answered that or not.
You did.
Okay.
What if at the end, maybe people are following one religion faithfully their whole life, and then they discover it's something else? What do you think about that situation?
What do you mean? Like they're following one religion and then they think that religion turned out to be something else?
More that they followed one religion, then it actually ended up being another religion that they needed to follow.
Sounds like a cruel joke some omnipotent creator would play. Um, I don't think I quite understand what you're asking me though. Can you use it in a sentence?
That was a sentence.
I know, I know.
I mean, like, if someone has followed like one particular religion their whole life, then they die and they find that it's actually this other religion. Do you think they should go to hell, or should there be some consequences? Or since they followed this religion so faithfully, like they tried and they were brought up this religion, and it ends up not being the right one, what do you think? What do you think would happen, and then what do you think should happen?
Well, assuming these things are true, which I don't think they are. I think these are more of a moral guide, a moral compass, generally speaking. Or at least I think that's what it was probably. I think that was the attempt to kind of build something that would unify people to a uh, common ground morality, something like that. But as far as like if these are true and you've devoted your entire life to living in these ways, these principles, only to find out that you had the wrong one. Um, I think that's pretty cruel. Um, and unfortunately, according to some of these doctrines, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how well you lived to these guidelines, these rules rather. Um, so, yeah, it doesn't matter according to these things. You must do these. Um, and then what was the second part of that? What should happen? Um, well, I don't know. Again, I don't think these are necessarily things that people should devote their lives to. I think these are guides. These are more like a compass you can orient yourself in life with, for the most part, on not every religion either. Um, I think that's about all I got for that. Questions?
Yes. Some people, I like the idea that maybe everybody has the same God, but they just call him something different and they have a different path to him. Some people think there isn't technically a God, but they think there's like an energy force that somehow people can tap into, and that it's everybody's own personal experience. Now, if something like one religion is the right religion and people happen to follow a different religion their whole life, I'd say that's really unfortunate, especially since a lot of people are born into a particular religion. Um,
Sure, geographical location certainly accounts for it.
yeah,
It's a very
definitely.
good predictor.
Mm-hmm. And I would hope that maybe the divine being would see that person's efforts and not condemn them for this. But we don't really know. Some people claim to know, but I don't know if anybody truly does know.
Right, right. And again, that's assuming that these things are true and accurate in what they're portraying. And at the moment, I'm not necessarily convinced that you will be judged in that way um, when or perhaps if you die. We're kind of advancing pretty fast medically, scientifically. Um, I don't know. Yeah, it's a cruel thing to think about, and especially if it's part of somebody's plan. You know, if you start adding that variable in there, that this is part of somebody's plan, and they know this and they've watched this. I think that's a pretty cruel thing.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Some people see God as just something of love, some see it as cruelty. It's really hard to say. But moving on, what
Thank you.
what do you think of astrology?
Astrology. I don't think much of it. I think there's, well, at least there, it's very saturated, that field. It seems like there's a lot of conflicting things. Um, and like what is the source? Like what is a primary source that like I don't think people can answer that very easily. Like what is the most competent source that you can think of, or the most authoritative source? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure we could Google search it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of those actually.
Mhm.
But the fact that a lot of these things don't line up with each other is at least interesting to me. But I don't like the idea that you can't change based off of these descriptions. So, as you said, I'm a Leo, according to most, probably all of the books will agree on that part. But the idea that my personality can't change and I'm kind of locked into that, I don't necessarily agree with that. So that kind of dismisses a lot of that, I think. Without giving it too much, it seems like it does.
Okay. Well, somebody who studies astrology, they know that there are different parts to somebody. Like somebody's not just a Leo or just a Gemini.
That sounds like a cop out. That sounds like some wiggle room just in case.
Well, I can see that point, or it's just saying people are very fluid. Also, different points in your life, you can act a certain way, especially people who are born on the cusp, which means like they're born like right on the day that's in between one sign and the other. Like some people exhibit strong signs of one particular sign earlier in their life, and then they exhibit the other sign a little bit later in their life.
So I don't mean to hijack your show here, but what would be the point then? Like, what's the benefit of reading and knowing these descriptions about oneself if it can change like that?
I think you go with whatever you feel is closest to who you are at that time, what you feel like you identify most with. And like more than like the majority of people do feel they identify with their particular sign. And maybe
Wait, are you just saying that?
no.
You know that for a fact?
I most people I talk to, there's like maybe one person.
But you also only talk to people about this who are already into this.
No.
Really?
Really.
I would be very interested in seeing a study on this. People who aren't necessarily already biased on the subject. But let's go with what you're saying.
Yeah, some people feel that they do identify with their particular sign, and they don't necessarily know a lot about astrology. They just look up their sign and say, "Oh, I feel this does kind of say a lot about who I am." And then whenever there's like advice for that particular sign, maybe they can look into that a bit further. They can look at the positives and negatives and see how to fix that. You're not necessarily locked into something, but then again, like if you have a certain
I'm sorry, go ahead.
if you have a certain like personality trait and it's negative, but you try to fix it, but it's still kind of there, doesn't necessarily mean you're locked into being that way. It's just you kind of have to watch out for being like that.
That just sounds like a human thing.
Yeah, well, astrology is for humans and cats.
And cats, apparently. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit more about what we were talking about earlier about psychics and psychology.
Well, you got to be more specific than that.
Nah.
Okay. Psychics are people who claim to have certain abilities that apparently other people don't have or are unaware of. I don't. What are you asking me exactly?
You were talking about earlier that you feel like psychics use a lot of psychology to get their answers, and it's easy to read people, and that's how they formulate their answers.
Well, I don't know if it's easy to read people is the right way to say it. For some people, I'm sure it is. There are certain things you can do to, let's say, bait information out of people. Okay, and like I was saying earlier, I kind of remember now. Um, there are people who can have the same results as people claiming to be psychic, doing not psychic things. So I don't want to tell you what my idea was. I don't want to use that on here. I don't know when this is going to air, and I don't want to, spoil that. Um, but I don't. It's hard to say without you asking like a specific thing. Do you got anything else you can ask or add?
Not add, but maybe change the subject.
Okay.
What do you think about people who think the world is flat and that no one ever went to space?
Um, I initially think that these people weren't hugged enough as a child and they need some attention.
Oh, okay.
um, initially, that's kind of my first thoughts about stuff like this. Um, but then, like, I can't prove to you that the world is, the Earth is round. I can show you various textbooks. There are pictures now, fairly recently, that show it as an orb. Um, I don't quite know. Other than see, I don't think that all these people are lying either, though. I think some of these people actually believe in it. Um, some of these people. I think this probably originally started as a joke, kind of like a meme where people just kind of, oh yeah, it's flat, and some people were like, bro, it is flat, and it kind of built this little community of people, and they just get around each other and reinforce their ideas to each other. Um, I don't know. It's really easy to brush off as silly and perhaps even stupid. Maybe unfortunately, but I don't think that. And as far as what was the other one? The moon landing?
Oh, yeah. That people have never gone to space. Actually, it's all a hoax.
That one is a bit more, I don't want to say compelling, but I could lean towards that more than the flat earth part. Um, I'm certainly much more ignorant to that process than the other. Um, I do think we've been there. There apparently is evidence that we've been there. Um, kind of the same thing, though. I think some of these people are looking for attention. And there has been some actual fuckery from NASA. I'm sorry, can we swear on here?
Sure.
Okay. There has been some fuckery where they have manipulated pictures. Like, it's known now that there have been. I sound like a fucking conspiracy theorist now. Yes, we went to the moon. The Earth is most likely not flat.
Oh, okay. Well, that just reminds me, like, sometimes I don't like some people I do think it's for attention, and then other people I think they have strong feelings about their conspiracy theory. And it's kind of like in the movies when you have like this crazy scientist guy, and then at the end he's right. Like his idea was so crazy, but it actually was the right one.
Sure.
And so some people like it's kind of weird that we have a select group of people that are famous and then everybody else just kind of does like a 9 to 5. I think that's an interesting concept.
I think it's interesting that if you go on Instagram, you can see ass models who are much more famous than, let's say, Neil Armstrong,
Really?
a person who literally walked on the moon,
Wow.
allegedly.
Well, that kind of tells you like what people find important, or maybe a certain group of people kind of scream the loudest in society sometimes.
Maybe. I'm curious how that came about. Because at one point in time, like that was the most important thing that anybody has done. You couldn't think of anything more exciting, more interesting than somebody walking on the moon. And I'm curious whether or not, now this is definitely conspiratorial, whether or not like this change or this shift in maybe not priorities, but that's probably the best word I have at the moment, shifted to this culture of like, it's not talent. Like it's not a talent to post a picture of your ass and post it. So I don't quite understand why these people are so popular and whether or not that's a manufactured thing.
Maybe it's more the instant gratification thing. Maybe someone succeeding, like walking on the moon, maybe it makes them feel small. And then seeing something sexualized, it makes them happy. It gives them a different buzz in their mind. And someone walking on the moon doesn't quite do that same effect. It actually maybe makes them not feel like they've accomplished enough in their life. Maybe.
Certainly today.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, like when that happened, like that's seemingly the only thing that people cared about. Like that was a very big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well.
Now it's just kind of like seeing it.
Yeah, it's
What
not
else
as
is
big a
on?
deal, but still, they still risk their lives going up there, and it's wonderful when they make it down. It's really tragic when they don't.
Yeah, and it took more than just the astronauts too. Like there was a whole team dedicated to this thing.
Yeah, building the space shuttles and whatnot.
I feel like we've talked more about conspiracies than anything else. What is going on with your show? Is this a conspiracy?
It is not.
Okay.
But conspiracies are interesting because it makes you wonder, like, is what we're doing, is it real, or is it all just an episode of Black Mirror, you know?
Right.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like a weird concept. Like, what is money? Like, why do we live only till like 80 or 90? Why do we do a job for 30 years and retire? Like, why?
So check this out. There are, like, Google has an artificial intelligence sector. I don't know what they call it, but what they're doing is they're employing. That's a weird way to put this, but they're using, let's say, 1,000 robots to do one particular maneuver. And what it's doing is they're all learning how to do this maneuver differently. Instead of one robot doing this maneuver millions of times, they're using 1,000 robots to learn. Now, what if something is using 1 million humans to do these particular things as opposed to one doing it over and over? So, in other words, what if we were created to basically learn and potentially... What are you doing?
I'm not doing anything.
Okay. All right. You kind of stop tickling me. All right. I lost my thought. Thanks.
You're welcome. You said something about 1 million humans doing something.
Yeah. So what if there was let's say an alien of some sort, and instead of it coming down here and mining technology, perhaps that's the goal, mining technology, mining resources, you create these biomechanistic humanoid things, us, to do it for them. I don't know. That was just a poorly thought out rant.
Yeah, that's a thought. It's a cookbook. What do you think of the Marilyn Monroe JFK conspiracy theory?
What is it?
Some people think it's the government that killed both of them. What do you think of that idea? No,
I'm sorry.
not in the mic. Stop.
You wanted me on your show.
I did.
That's part of me.
Okay.
Okay. The government killed JFK and Marilyn Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen the documents.
Oh, okay. As he laughed.
I-
Whoa. What are you doing in Texas, not in the Pentagon? Like, what's going on?
I know, right? That's why I fled Michigan. I don't know. That's an interesting one that people have been trying to figure out for a very long time. I think it's certainly possible. Governments in general have done some pretty shady things, and also attempted to do some pretty shady things. I don't actually know much about how Marilyn Monroe died. Can you enlighten me on that?
I think she died. She was about to get remarried to one of her husbands. And apparently she overdosed on like sleeping pills or something. And they said it was suicide, but it was like, why would she kill herself if she's about to marry the man she truly loved? It just didn't seem to be logical at that time.
I see what you're saying. Well, you don't know what's going on in people's heads, even if they are the happiest people around or seemingly happiest people around. Um, so that to me is still very likely that that happened that way. But as far as JFK goes, uh, you, I'll say yes. Government killed him.
Yeah. People say like Marilyn Monroe was killed by the government because JFK told her too much information. And then also there is something that people thought that the ambulance that came to take care of her actually turned around instead of helping her, and then they went back and helped her. So it was like they weren't going to help her by word of some official, which is very strange.
Yeah. I don't know, and it sounds like nobody knows. Unfortunately, well, somebody probably knows, but I don't think that's public yet.
Yeah, or either everybody is gone.
I don't know why I said yet.
Yet.
Okay.
I mean, hopefully it comes out because I think the whole world still wants to know. But
Not everybody. Some people are just like, meh.
I think a lot of people would like to know.
Who's gonna feed these hogs?
What?
like there's some farmers out there who probably don't care.
No.
They got work to do. They can't be caring about this stuff.
Well, not just farmers, probably just like some people, but whatever.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people that would be interested in finding out the truth. Some of those people who were involved may not be alive anymore, though, and they may have brought the secret with them to the grave.
The secret.
The secret.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something else I was going to ask you.
You got like a stack of notes in front of you.
Whatever, I don't.
No, there's nothing.
What was it? How is it that, like, I never hear you burp, and then we go on air, and you burp, like, for 12 times?
I'm saving it for the show.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, yeah.
Living my best life.
Oh, okay. My question to you, what do you think about you having, like, you're always, like, super hot, and
Thank you.
no, like, temperature-wise, you're, like, 100 degrees all the time, and how that's related to your migraines, and, like, do you think it's, like, a superpower untapped, or what?
I think it's more of a curse.
A curse?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to attach some solar panels to you. Save on electricity.
I don't know. I don't think it's uncommon. I'm apparently a naturally hot, warm person.
Yeah, I've never met anybody like as warm as you. Like even when you're cold, you're hot. Like on the outside, it's interesting.
That's interesting. Sometimes I feel like because I'm so cold, my body's trying to make up for it, and I get hot.
Yeah, maybe so.
I don't know if that's a thing or not.
It's like you're so cold, it goes all the way to the other spectrum because it's worried about you.
Perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. We're about to go deep.
Barely.
Okay.
So, as a bearded man, like, how do you think?
Noticed.
I did notice. How do you think people view you?
What?
Like, when you walk into a room, what do you think people think about you in particular?
I think I turn heads. And then people, like women, clench their purses.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Do they think you're tough or something?
Well, you say a bearded man. Let's clarify that this is a very unkept beard.
Oh, okay.
It's a very natural beard, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Au naturel.
Yeah, so it's not like I wouldn't call this a neat beard by any means.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do think that people tend to treat me differently, whereas if I have a beard or clean shaven. I think some people I've noticed, in my opinion, have been a bit more reluctant to talk to me. Like if I was standing in line or something, I would say hi to people like I normally would, and they might not know I'm actually a pretty friendly person. I think most people would agree with that. But when I have a like clean shaven face, no beard, it seems like people are a bit more. What am I trying to say?
Friendly towards you, open to talk to you.
Not reluctant. Just reluctant. People are more.
Just reluctant.
People are a lot more reluctant.
Well, remember that one time we went to some fast food place and this lady started telling you about like this bee sting or something? Did you have your beard or was it completely shaven?
I don't think you've ever seen me completely shaven. I definitely have always had some stubble.
Shaven for you.
I don't remember the bee sting though.
Yeah, this lady was talking about like some horrible disease she had because of a bee sting, and I was just up there like getting a refill, and she just walked up to you because you were waiting for me, and y'all were having like this whole conversation. I was like, "What's going on over there?"
No, I don't remember.
Oh, okay. I thought that was funny.
Okay.
A couple of times people have told you some really odd things, like they just come up to you, and it makes me think like the opposite effect, like people feel open to you.
That is interesting observation. Waitresses, specifically IHOP waitresses,
Yes.
definitely have
That
some
was
crazy,
hilarious.
disgusting stories.
And
What?
we
I said-
actually
wait,
wrote
wait,
a song about
wait.
it.
I said waitresses and I meant waitress.
Waitress.
Yeah, it's not plural. It's a singular waitress.
Yeah, we
Every
wrote a
time.
song. It's funny.
Maybe we'll play it.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, we need to complete it first.
We'll get there.
We will. Yeah, we'll play it some other time. Yeah. So, Brian, we are in the beginning of like our entertainment career. I know you said that you've tried to do things with friends and whatnot. But what do you feel is like your drive, your passion, like in the like your main thing that you want to do? Like, do you want to be a stand-up comedian or do you want to do podcasts, music?
No.
No to all of it?
Well, mostly I want to be my own boss, and I want to do that in a way that also makes me happy. And one of the things that makes me happy is kind of creating things, coming up with ideas and working them out, especially working them out. I like seeing people laughing, so that's a kind of a bonus to these interests of mine, comedy, having these types of conversations with people, even though you're not really funny.
Oh, thanks.
She is funny. Great timing also.
I know.
But I don't know. It maybe that's the problem. I don't really have a clear direction as far as which specific thing I want to do. In my head, a lot of these things kind of all tie into each other. I don't know if that answered your question, but I already forgot what it was.
That's okay. Just to let y'all know, he has a Gemini moon. So this is why he's all over the place. And I'm a Gemini, and that's why I'm all over the place.
Bullshit.
So he thinks that I see it. We're both Leo rising, so that works out. How do you think you and I are compatible?
Are we? That's a bit presumptuous.
I know, but you have said we are compatible.
Did I? That's a weird thing for me to say. That's not in my vocabulary.
Whatever, Dimples.
You and I are compatible. I can see it. That's not something I would say. Why would you blame me for that one?
Oh, okay. Maybe it's somebody
Credit.
else. I don't know. Maybe
no,
it's
it was
another
me.
guy.
It was
Okay.
me. I don't know. I think we have a very good balance. You are often more logical and analytical, and when I'm not, I'll just go with those two things. And I think I am those things when you're not. And together, we're compatible. I'm still stuck on that. I'm sorry. I couldn't get past that. I was trying to. Did I really tell you that?
You did.
In that word?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, you did actually a couple of times.
Was it a joke?
No.
Okay.
We have to be compatible in some way.
Well, yeah, of course we are.
Or maybe let's go with we work well together. How do you think our personalities complement each other?
How do they complement each other?
Yes.
Well, again, I think when I'm not very focused on things, you'll kind of steer me in the right direction and vice versa. I do think that you have a very dark and sick, twisted sense of humor,
Whatever.
which you seem to blame me for, and
Whatever.
they'll find out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can see that twinkle in your eye already. Tell me to stop talking about it, so I'll stop.
How is that related?
I just want to let your
I'm
fans
trying to get
know.
you back on track.
Yeah, I know. I see that now. See, that's my point. No, I think one of my favorite things about us is that we have similar senses of humor. We can kind of laugh at the same things, no matter how horrible they are. Sometimes you go way farther than me.
Whatever.
No, I think we have a really good balance between us, though. Like you said, my moon is jumping over Gemini's, and
That
my
is not right.
Leo is scratching at your. I don't know what you said.
No. You have a Gemini moon and a Leo rising.
No, I told you that. I left that in my other pocket.
What?
I don't have any of those
He
things. Stop
does
lying
not
to me.
understand.
I don't know what she's talking about.
Oh man.
No, I think we do think alike. Even our sense of humor is pretty similar, and we have common goals. We have common morals, I think, that are pretty important to us as well. What do you think? I'm curious. I don't mean to again hijack your show, but what hijack? Maybe that can every time if you invite me on your show again, we can play that every time I hijack it. Oh man, I ruined it.
Let me think. Well, I definitely like that you're very rational when sometimes I feel like, oh, the world's ending because this one thing didn't go right. You kind of bring me back to be centered, and sometimes I'm kind of all over the place, and you do kind of steer me in the right direction. You're like, oh, we need to work, even though we just got off work, so that we can build this thing that we're trying to do. I appreciate that. And you're a great hugger. I appreciate that. And when my nose is cold, I can just put it on your face, and I'm good.
There it is. There it is.
There it is. Yep.
Was that like reasons 4,431 that you love me? Is my warm face?
Yeah, your warmness. And I like whenever I'm hot, you're cold, and vice versa.
That is strange.
And that was so cute that one time. I had the heat on like full blast, and you had it on 69, and it was like his and hers temperature, and you posted that.
Oh yeah.
That was funny.
All right.
Speaking of posting,
Lord.
I know, right? Like when I first started talking to you, I thought your Instagram was weird.
Well, it is weird.
It is. And I thought maybe I should be a little concerned because it's kind of disturbing maybe to some.
See what I'm talking about?
What?
You say that and then you're intrigued. You're like, who is this common thinking fellow?
No, I just wanted to be like, okay, why does he have this on here? Does he find it funny? Does he find it interesting? Or is the weirdo going to come out sooner or later? Date number 4, what's going on here?
All right.
Yeah.
I like, to be clear, like these are like a news, like most of the stuff I posted is like news articles.
But you pick them out, like the most disturbing ones.
Well, nonetheless, it's not like I don't know. I got nothing.
I like how you put my face in with that. Some of the posts, they're all like craziness, and then my face is on your Instagram. It's like I am part of this craziness.
You knew what you were getting into. You just admitted it, and now we have evidence.
Yeah, now we have
Yo,
evidence.
Anna.
Yo, Anna. I can see the gavels in your eyes.
Oh, man. I like that line.
Yes.
That was a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Man, some Taco Cabana sounds really good right now.
Okay.
My love of
Are they a
Mexican
sponsor?
food. They are not. They are not yet. Ooh, maybe we could talk to them about that.
I don't know.
Be like, let's put the microphone to those sizzling fajitas.
See?
That's funny. Oh man. Ah,
Well, this show's going well.
I think so. Finally in unison after 40 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Something else you said I thought was interesting. I'm always telling you like you're adorable. I love your eyelashes. You have a cute
Aw.
smile. And then you're like,
All lies.
why should I say thank you? Like I didn't create myself. Like it's not like anything that I did. I thought that was an interesting idea.
Do you remember what it was specifically?
Yeah, it was your eyelashes.
Was it?
Or your nose. I think you have a cute nose. He has an adorable profile, by the way. See picture album cover. Brian Ito, beautiful
she has
man.
bad taste.
Whatever.
Well, to kind of go over that a little bit, what you said, I just don't see that as I don't think I should say those thoughts on your show. I'll save that for a different show. But I literally, I didn't do anything to have like this beautiful nose, as you say. So I don't. It's hard to like take credit for that, I guess. Like I literally did nothing. So
should I be saying this to your dad instead? Like call him every time I think your face is nice. Be like, hey, Brian's dad, I like your face. Or I like your son's face. And then he can say thank you because he helps with your creation, maybe?
that could be it. Or you can just pray at night
Oh, okay.
to, that person up there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a thought.
Some people say he is the creator.
Yeah. What do you think of this abnormal weather? Like, it's so painfully hot. I don't even like going outside.
I don't know. I think people complain every summer.
Yeah.
It's a pattern. The winters have been interesting lately. I don't think I've seen snow at all this past winter.
I don't think so. It's been very rainy. It's like we're in Seattle sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. As you said, I'm a fairly naturally hot, warm person, so it sucks for me most of the time. But that's summer,
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. What is a topic that you would like to talk about?
Okay, we'll cut that part out then.
No. Oh,
She won't let us talk about that topic.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what he's alluding to, but
That's
all right.
The thing I just brought up and you cut out.
Whatever. Lies. We are going straight through.
Okay.
Straight through. I'm leaving in your burps even.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. That one thing. A lot of Leos. No.
What?
A lot of Leos like to be actors, and you said you would be interested in being in the theater.
No, I thought it'd be interesting to take a theater class. I don't necessarily want to be that. I don't like the attention. Maybe, I don't know. I like behind the scenes. I like writing, mostly jokes, bits. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like the attention part. Maybe that's just a fear. Maybe once I did it and perhaps I got some attention, that might change. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, just to go over a couple of things that we are going to be doing in the future.
Don't tell them everything.
I'm not. I don't even know everything. I can't remember it all.
Okay.
But we're going to be doing something called Your Turn, We're going to ask each other questions, kind of similar to this, but a little different. And then also, you can call into Your Turn if you like. Do you remember what the phone number is?
No.
Okay, in that case, that's okay. And then you can follow me on Instagram at Lindsay D Little, and that's Lindsay with an AY. And then you can follow Brian.
Wait, are we done?
Yeah.
Are you wrapping this up?
I am wrapping it.
Okay. Go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can follow Brian at BG_2071.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, and then I also do photography. And if you want to reach out to us, you can on Instagram. That's our thing for right now.
See all the weirdness on my alleged weirdness.
Yeah, mine is completely normal, so.
Boring.
I know, but at least your feeds are not going to be like, what am I looking at? Yeah, you're going to be seeing some more normal things. It's a good balance. So if you want to follow.
I disagree with the normal thing.
Okay.
What is normal, you know?
Oh, okay. You want to elaborate?
No.
Okay. Well, that's it for Little Bits. Since my last name's Little, the Little Bits of learning about people. All right, Brian. See you guys next time.
Wait, do I have any last words?
Do you have any last words?
No, I don't. I just wanted the opportunity.
Oh, okay. Well, now you have the opportunity. I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Talk to y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.